Yeah, yeah, yeah. What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome, everybody. Happy Monday. Oh, wow. Damn, that's far ahead. All right, we'll just let it rip. We'll just let it rip. What's up, everyone? Happy Monday. Damn, that don't feel right playing from that point, but that's all good. It's still ripping, though, huh? Yeah, not too shabby. Yeah, I don't usually play that far into that song. That is Tell Me Again. It's one of my songs by Nikki B. Hannas. It's instrumental, so it works. You hear enough of my voice when I start talking. Anyway, rip that outro. Yeah, wake up, everybody. Yes, sir. Anyway, that's that's a gratuitous amount of my own music to hack in the morning. What's up, man? Welcome. Fine Monday edition. BS with Bihanas with me. I call myself Nikki Bihanas on the internet. I come out here on the YouTube a couple times a week in the morning. Usually Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Come out here, hang out for a couple minutes. The general premise of this show, man, I'll wake up and a lot of times I'll take a walk, read some good stuff, come out, talk to the people, and I'll go about my business, which means got to go to work, got to go get paid, allegedly. Do the thing. I'm held to some duties. You know what I mean? You got to do what you got to do. So I'll go lift some weights, go to work. Don't work, keep it real, you know? Jerome's in the chat. What's up, dude? I ain't seen you in a minute. Welcome back, dude. Welcome back. Yeah, on Mondays, man, I like to just kind of think about what I'm thinking about, obviously. What a stupid thing to say. Nah, man. I mean, I just on Mondays, it's like start the week. The weekend's over. We're all back into it. Many among us feel a type of way about Mondays. We need some hashtag Monday motivation. And I'm here to give it to you. Whoa, Maddie's in the chat too. You guys are here today. Yeah, man. Nice. Yeah, dude. So as we find ourselves on a Monday, almost halfway through August, we just keep pushing. That's all there is to it. Once you spend some time with like the mind, this is what I found at least. And it's something I kind of been like writing about in my miscellaneous projects. Once you spend some time with like mentality and mindset and all that kind of stuff, like you get your tool, so to speak, because your brain is a weapon, and it is a tool and it needs to be sharp. So which is why I engage in this kind of stuff. This is why I listen to this kind of stuff. It's why, I consume that type of content because it's good. It's like a diet. You don't eat one good meal and then you're like, all right, I'm good. It's not how it is. And for me, for whatever reason, just the kind of dude I am, if I'm swayed by passions and momentary things, it completely sends me off. Like the emoji my dude Jerome is throwing at me, always appropriate. I'll be in line and locked in for a little while, and then one sway of anger or impatience or whatever, and I'm on a spiral. And I know that about myself. I've learned that about myself. So for me, and maybe it's a thing not everybody has. Maybe some of us are more even keeled than others, but I know I'm liable to go off the rails and when that happens, it's like, I just exist in a really negative, jacked up place. So what I find is when I can kind of center myself in reading generally, the genre of personal development or self-help or whatever, it's like, all right, I'm keeping this thing in my pocket and I'm remembering that it's there all the time. You could have all the tools in the world at your disposal, but if you forget it's there, if you're not aware of it, it ain't helping you. And that's just something that I tend to think about. The reason I'm thinking about that in particular is because on my Instagram, go follow my new Instagram, by the way, at Heavy Blues Metal. The Glock in your pocket, yeah, that's a given. Yeah, keep that thing on you. We know that though, but that's whatever. That's its own responsibility. Real talk, you know what I mean? You can't be a freaking just flipping out, getting mad, getting road rage when you got that thing on you, man. You got to be a responsible steward of that power. But like I was saying, go follow me on my new Instagram page at Heavy Blues Metal, because what I'm mostly posting on there is like guitar stuff and gym stuff and like my own merch stuff, my Heavy Blues Metal line, which is kind of where it all started, the beginning of the page. But as with all things, you start doing something and you kind of learn how to do it in actuality only by doing it. I could have this great theory. I'll post 3 times a week, and the first post is going to be this, the second one's going to be this, and and then it gets pretty stale pretty quick. Kind of like coming out here and running my mouth on a podcast. If I'm confined to exactly, Monday is going to be this, Wednesday is going to be this, it can get stale very quickly. So it's tough to keep, how do you keep something fresh and current and live and organic? But at the same time, the great principles of all things are very simple. They're unmoving. They don't change. Like Monday, mindset, keep ripping. Real simple. There it is, everybody. But, we all know that. We all know that. So as I'm doing this Instagram page and I'm starting to carve out, what I want to do is start carving out a new lane a little bit within that. So if I got the music, if I got the fitness stuff, I want to start getting into like talking about books and what I'm reading, literature, and emphasizing that a little bit too. Because those 3 things to me are the most important. Those 3 things to me are the most important. I lift every day, I read every day. And those things are great in and of themselves, but they have to turn into something, or it's just like masturbatory. If you have this whole library and you just sit alone and read, but it doesn't actually change your life, it might change how you think. You might have other different things floating around in your mind. Is it a decoration or is it a tool? You know what I mean? If my man Jerome keeps that Glock in his pocket, that's cool. You could also have a Glock on it as a display piece. You know what I'm saying? Like a sword. Let's use the metaphor of the sword. One year for Christmas, I got all my homies swords because we sit around and play Magic the Gathering together and talk about Lord of the Rings and all this stuff. So I'm like, you know what? I'm getting swords for the homies. Now, realistically, they could sharpen them and like have real swords. But more realistically, that's going on a mount and it's going on the wall. So it's the same thing with thoughts. It's the same thing with knowledge. It's the same thing with wisdom. It's the same thing with lessons. It's the same things. They're all the same, but it just fills your brain out. It just fills your brain out. So if you do all this consuming of information like I do, and I believe it's a good thing, I'll argue that. Some people would argue against that. But whatever, is what you're consuming and what you're learning and what you're getting and digesting, the things that are your mental diet. Is it just for decoration? Is it just to sit on the wall? I read that. I read that. I know this. Or is there a way to implement it and actually act upon it? You know, which I believe is the important thing. Where are you going? Jerome says hashtag book club, hashtag Marcus Aurelius, hashtag Lord of Dem Rangs. Yo, take it easy out there. No spiraling before 10, dude. Got to pump the brakes on that. But yeah, Marcus Aurelius is a great example. If you've read all of Meditations, because every bro on the internet who may or may not have gas station cheap sunglasses on their face talks about stoicism, talks about, the 5 books you gotta read. I like that stuff though. You know? I found a page on Instagram that was like it's a pretty big page. It's run by some girl who's like it's a crusade page of some sort, how academia is very anti right wing and blah 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 blah. They hate conservatives. Blah, blah, blah. And at first I'm like, wow, this is really interesting. I've never seen this page. And there's a lot of engagement. And it's they're just playing the game, which I don't do. I don't do. These cats that play the game post carousels. You can see they're posting multiple times a day, and but they're getting hundreds of thousands of likes and all types of arguments in the comment section, which only feeds engagement. And then it does the same filter that goes to their link in their bio, and here's their book, here's their page, work one on one, and like this is just a game. And I have my infrastructure set up in a similar way, but I'm not gonna be hacky about it. They're posting carousels with the same selfie with the caption overwritten. And like and this is something I've started to do in my Monday mindset. I'm spending too much time criticizing other cats out here instead of really just narrowing down and zeroing in and locking in on what it is I gotta do. And I wonder how many out of everybody out here on the internet, how many of us do that? Gotta be careful. 'Cause there's a fine line between watching and observing and consuming content for an end, for a reason to do something with, versus just, sitting on the stoop watching and talking that smack. And I'm susceptible to it. But man, when I talk sometimes, it's just pure stream of consciousness. But that's the nature of improv. And that's why I like doing this, because these people, these people, I catch myself doing it again. But there's a level of just meticulous methodization and optimization that I see, and I just don't like it. So what I do, I literally will just like I have a scheme for how I want to post on this page because it's meant to be expressive and it's meant to be conductive to good things, to better things. If it motivates, cool. If it inspires, cool. But this is stuff that means a lot to me. So it behooves me to express it. In any event, I'll take a picture or whatever. Like, all right, this is going to be the books. Let's make a book post. Let's start this book post. Find some good music to go over it, set the reel up. Okay. And then it's like, well, what am I going to say? It's a nice exercise in writing, but I never know. Just like I don't know what I'm going to say until I come out here to say it. I don't know what I'm going to caption something until I start captioning it. And if my thinkings and thoughts on the matter are disjointed and flowing way too fast, then that'll show. If they're really locked in and on top of it and concise and effective and quick, that'll show as well. But that's got me thinking generally because when I started the post, it's like I'm in the midst of doing 75 hard again. Today's day 16. So I'm reading, my 10 pages a day on top of other stuff. But the 10 pages a day for 75 hard, it's got to be personal development or business or self development in any capacity. So I've got it's like a giant bookshelf of books of that nature. And I feel like, maybe I'm projecting, but there's definitely a lot of, why do you read this stuff? Do you need to read all self help? Oh, yeah, self help. Is that self affirmations? And there's a lot of commonalities between all those books. Few among them are excellent, but all of them are good. I don't know if that makes sense to anyone except me. There's some books in that genre that are just like I've read and it's really paradigm shifting and really like, whoa, cool. I just received some truth, some needed truth that I can change my machinery with. But a lot of it's just like, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. You got to get over your apprehension and fear of failure. I know. You got to get over, you say you want success, but maybe you're actually deep down in your subconscious, you're afraid of it. Yeah, I know. It's another guy telling me that subconsciously I'm horrified of having millions of dollars. I get it. I understand. Read Capitalism and Freedom by Milton Friedman. You know what? I've never actually really read any Milton Friedman. I've read a bunch of Thomas Sowell, but I never rocked with Friedman. But that's his own thing too. I got a whole different shelf that's full of just like more political thinkings, stuff that's more political philosophy thinkings. I've got a whole shelf of deep esoteric literature. I've got a whole shelf of Christian literature. I've got a whole shelf of fiction. I got a whole shelf of African American literature. I've got a whole shelf of like historical biography, historical fiction. Like I love this stuff, man. So it's important to me. It's important to me. But I put a picture out there of like my self-help shelf. And it's just interesting. I don't know how well I present it, and I don't know how, again, the messages don't change. The real important stuff, the simplicity of it all is that these things don't change. One of the last books I read, which I was fishing for in the intro, playing my own music. This is one of the last ones I hit right here. I don't know if you can see it or not. What I got. Come on, why can't my come on, hands cooperate? A Changed Mind. What's the subtitle? Because they all have subtitles. And as I'm exploring writing and self-publishing, the subtitle is very important. So this one's called A Changed Mind by David Bayer. Go beyond self-awareness, rewire your brain, and re-engineer your reality. Yeah, I'm going to re-engineer the potholes on my way to the gym. I'm going to re-engineer the tree workers that drive me nuts, the red lights. So there's a bit of a cynic in me still. Maybe that's holding me back from my manifestations, man. But it's all very interesting, and it's all a thick part of the ride that I'm in. But the reason I bring this up is because you can pretty much summarize the whole genre in 2 sentences, which at one point towards the end of this book, this guy did. But that just because you can summarize it quickly and we know it, that doesn't necessarily mean that we do what we know. This is to bring it all the way back. This is something I'm saying I'm working on writing in one of my pieces right now. We know the right thing. The right thing is known to all of us insofar as action and the actual minute by minute, hour by hour construction of our characters, which yields our lives. That's my thesis for all sakes and purposes, and the way this guy summarizes it, I think, is exactly true. And if we remember it and implement it to the best of our abilities and don't let that all that extra extraneous bullshit voice that we all kind of have. Maybe some of us don't, I don't know, but I got it before I get swayed into something else. Anyway, here's what the summary of it is. This is from A Changed Mind. He says, "And if I can do it, then you can do it. And if we can do it, then we all can do it." And that's it. I was talking with someone the other day who'd never heard of the 4 Minute Mile. I forget the context of that conversation, but to me, it's like I've read hundreds of books like this. I don't know how much content I've consumed on the internet, but more of it is constructive and beneficial than brain rot and idiot inducing. And the 4 Minute Mile, my understanding of it is no one did it. Nobody could do it. It was beyond the scope of comprehension. You can't run a mile in 4 minutes. Nobody can. It's impossible. Until the first dude did it. Then it became common. If one man can do it, another man can do it. And that's it. And to think that we're either so special or so deficient, either one of those extremes, nah, man. Realistically, we're all in the majority, which is the 80%. And that's dictated barely by who we are, but mostly by what we do. That's the kind of stuff I think about on a Monday. I get Sundays off, so I do a lot of my housekeeping and, general tending to tasks on Sunday. I get to relax a little bit, maybe. But then after Sunday's over, man, my nice peaceful day of, chores or whatever. Yeah, we get back to it. We get back to it. Damn, I got some newbies in the chat. Shangy girl, you're back. What's good? 98 voltages, friend of Shangy girl. Damn, that's what's up. Appreciate seeing you guys, man. Yeah, go back and rewatch the full stream because I'm at the end of it right now. And I don't know what brings you here, but here's the gist of it. I wake up and do a couple cool things and come out, talk to the people about 15, 20 minutes, and then I roll out. I got to go lift. I hope you guys go lift today too. I hope everyone in this chat goes and gets some today. Maddie, go. You're on top of your game. I don't got to tell you nothing, dude. Shout out to you. Jerome, I don't know if you've been lifting or not, but I know you lost a shit ton of weight, so keep doing that, dude. That kicks ass. Shangy girl at 98 voltages. I don't know what you guys are up to, but just do some bench presses. That's what Uncle Hannas. Uncle Hannas, I don't like that. I am Unc though. BS. That's not my name. We're just bullshitting out here with Be Honest. That's me. So thanks for hanging out on a fine Monday. I'm going to take it off. I'm going to get out of here. You can listen to this on YouTube, live on YouTube at BS with Be Honest. It goes out to Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, so on and so forth. You want some music? I affectionately refer to my music as heavy blues metal. NikkiBHannas.com, NikkiBHannas.bandcamp.com, NikkiBHannas on all streaming services. Yo, by the way, Shangy Girl and 98 Voltages, if you guys are like spies or government assets, just let me know. You know what I mean? I don't got no problem with that. I get it, but holler at me. Yeah, what else are the plugs? Instagram at Heavy Blues Metal. All the links are in the description. You like the channel, like it, subscribe, comment, tell me I stink, criticize my sunglasses. I also shave my head bald, so there's some low-hanging fruit for all you cats out there. Yeah, keep it real. One love. I'm out. Keep ripping. Peace. Oh, shit. I straight dropped that joint.